Hare Krishna, invocation prayers, please.
Hare Krishna. Anattimrandasya Yananjanastalakya Satshuran Milatvam Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Yanabhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamagyam Tatadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guruve Sri Vitapadakamalam Sri Guruve Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagarajadam Sagagana Raghunathavidam Savajivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parinyana Sagidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Madhasaga Gana Lalita Sri Vishakam Cha Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Virasavanu Sudha Devi Pranami Haripriye Vanchakalpataru Vyavcha Kripa Sindhu Bhya Yuvacha Patitana Pavane Bhyo Vaishnava Bhyo Namo Namaga Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaurav Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26. Before that, I will answer inquiry submitted and these tracking points you all submitted. Let me bring up on screen. So there's only one inquiry. Question number 1 is, why an ordinary man remains the way he is and never reaches the road to spirituality? Is it because of his greed for tongue's taste? So from Bhagavad Gita 13.22, the Bhumte verse, meaning Bhumte means enjoying mentality, is the cause for material existence. And in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17, Prabhupada explains that woman and wealth are very difficult problems for a devotee making progress on the path back home, back to Godhead. So let's read 1.2.17. It's a great key memorization verse. Shivangi, would you like to recite the verse and the translation, and then we'll read paragraphs 3 and 4?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can try. Shrinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavla Kirtana Hriyanta Stohya Patrani Vidnoti Suhritsatam.
Excellent.
Sorry, Prabhu. Translation. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul, is in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard, chanted.
So ready, paragraph 3 and 4. One cannot enter the kingdom of God.
One cannot enter into the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are products of our desires to lord it over material nature. It is very difficult to get rid of such desires. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. Many stalwarts in the devotional line fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is helped by the Lord himself, the whole process becomes as easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord. To become restless in the contact of women and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from remote time, practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from this foreign nature. But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind.
Right, so this is the problem. Bhumte and woman and wealth, these are the problems. And the solution is also given in verse number 18, 1 to 18. Again, a very important and a key memorization verse. Sridhar Prabhu, would you like to recite and read translation and purport, or even Aditi?
Hare Krishna. Astaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Translation. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the few devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
And so Prabhupada starts the purport by saying, here's the remedy given. So here's the solution to the problem we discussed in 1 to 30. Continue.
Purport. Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. The remedy is the association of the Bhagavatas. There are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and the devotee Bhagavata. Both the Bhagavatas are competent remedies, and both of them or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. A devotee Bhagavata is as good as the book Bhagavata because the devotee Bhagavata leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavata, and the book Bhagavata is full of information about the personality of God and his pure devotees, who are also Bhagavatas. Bhagavata, book, and person are identical. The devotee Bhagavata is a direct representation of Bhagavan, the personality of God. So by pleasing the devotee Bhagavata, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavata. Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavata or the book Bhagavata, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually, these are facts explained by Srila Naradeva, who happened to be a maidservant's son in his previous life. The maidservant was engaged in the menial service of the sages, and thus he also came into contact with them. And simply by associating with them and accepting the remnants of foodstuff left by the sages, the son of the maidservant got the chance to become the great devotee and personality Srila Naradadeva. These are the miraculous effects of the association of the Bhagavatas. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavatas, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The messages of the book Bhagavata therefore have to be received from the devotee Bhagavata. And the combination of these two Bhagavatas will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer the inquiry? All right, two slides for striking points. Slide 1. And slide 2. So I request all of you to please read the Pravarti Marg and Nivritti Marg from the slides and your notes from last class. At least one devotee was slightly confused. And some of you didn't really complete the spiritual endeavor. So try your best. Otherwise, this will become a drag very, very soon. Any questions, comments, realization before we continue? All right, so we are on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26. We discussed the first 3 verses in our last class where the body is described as a comparison with a chariot and many other items. And Puranjana going to the forest to hunt symbolizes that he is driven by mode of ignorance. So now part 2 is verses 4 to 10. Puranjana hunts in the forest. Means Jiva performing forbidden acts under ignorance. So this desiring to hunt is influenced by demoniac propensities. Mother Jija, verse 4 translation.
Translation, text 4. It was almost impossible for King Puranjana to give up the company of his queen even for a moment. Nonetheless, on that day, being very much inspired by the desire to hunt, he took up his bow and arrow with great pride and went to the forest, not caring for his wife. Hare Krishna.
So hunting represents woman hunting. And giving up wife represents giving up religious principles for sense gratification. And bow and arrow represents attachment and hatred. So we have already established that the entire this unit 14 is a comparison of something else based on what the verses are describing. And this comparison will continue. Uncle will read verse 5 translation. Yeah, we can hear you. Just seems little odd voice, but you can continue.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible? Yes, he said.
Yes, go ahead.
Text, Hare Krishna, text 5. At the time, King Puranjana was very much influenced by demonic propensities. Because of this, his heart became very hard and vicious. And with sharp arrows, he killed many innocent animals in the hearts, taking no consideration. Text 6.
Hold on.
Wait.
So if king is allowed to hunt according to scriptures, then a question may come up that why should living entity be restricted from sense gratification? Therefore, in verse number 6, it describes the scriptural guidance on animal killing. Uncle, you can read verse 6 now.
Now 6. Now 6 he said.
Text 6, Hare Krishna. If a king is too attracted to eating flesh, he may, according to the direction of the revealed scriptures, or sacrificial performances, go to the forest and kill some animals that are recommended for killing. One is not allowed to kill animals unnecessarily or without restrictions. The Vedas regulate animal killing to stop the extravagance of foolish men influenced by the modes of spirit.
So there guidance given is that per scriptural directions for say Shraddh rites, okay, you are allowed to kill. And second is only animals suitable to be killed should be killed. Third is killing should be done in the forest. And the fourth point is that killing should be only as much as is necessary. Not run slaughterhouses. And similarly, Jiva is allowed to enjoy sense objects as much as is necessary, not unrestricted way. And the results of following scriptural regulations and not following scriptural regulations are described in verses 7 and 8. Chandra Aunty, 7 and 8 translation.
6, 7. Narada Muni continued to speak to King Prachita. My dear king, any person who works according to the directions of the Vedic scriptures does not become involved in fruitive activities. Text 8. Otherwise, a person who acts whimsically falls down due to false prestige. Thus, he becomes involved in the laws of nature, which are composed of the three qualities: goodness, passion, and ignorance. In this way, a living entity becomes devoid of his real intelligence and becomes perpetually lost in the cycle of birth and death. Thus, he goes up and down from a microbe in tools to a high position in the Brahmaloka planet. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward that if you follow the scriptures, then it's beneficial. And if you don't follow, then the cycle of birth and death continues.
Prabhuji, I seek one clarification in your statement. May I?
Yeah.
Killing when necessary. You mean the sick animals or animals who are not able to move due to some accident?
Yeah. It's animals who are anyway about to die. You can kill those animals, and that too under these various restrictions, only as much as is necessary. But if two animals are about to die and you only need to kill one, well then just kill one. Of course, do understand that there are so many restrictions around. It's allowed for a king, not for everybody. Nowadays, of course, we don't have kings to begin with. So there's no point in killing. I mean, the whole point about this discussion is that do not maintain slaughterhouse. Prabhupada has said many times that if you want general people to stop eating flesh, then let them kill the animal by themselves. Instead of running these slaughterhouses and animal being available in market, stop these slaughterhouses and let the person kill the animal by himself if he wants to eat. And it's going to be very difficult for the person to kill another person. Although right now people are eating, not really realizing the pain that the animal goes through. The Prabhupada said, let them kill by themselves. Why are you maintaining slaughterhouses? Okay.
Very difficult proposition to kill and eat, because killing other jiva is very difficult.
Yeah, you are correct that killing others is definitely difficult.
So in that case, Prabhuji, then there won't be killing at all. That is
Yeah,
good. That's
exactly.
what Prabhupada says. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Prabhupada said, that right now, because of slaughterhouses, that animals get killed in slaughterhouses, and by the time the person goes to buy in the market, he doesn't really see anything about the suffering of the animal. So he doesn't really realize what he's doing or what his meat eating is doing to the animal. So if everybody who wants to eat, they want to kill by themselves, yeah, there will be few people who will kill, but that will be very few people left who will eat meat. Basically, majority of the animals will not get slaughtered.
Nowadays, Prabhuji, pet animals like dogs, if it has served its lifespan and they suffer, not able to move, arthritis, liver problem, etc., etc., so they are given to veterinary hospitals where they inject medicine so that they pass away. That is one way of uh, killing when necessary.
Yeah, that is not correct. We do not have the power to give birth to anybody. Therefore, we should not take anybody's life. So this killing in the name of merciful killing, that's not what scriptures are talking about. So if an animal is suffering and they're giving medication to die, that's not appropriate killing. And the reason, what scriptures have explained, why do not kill animals even if they are suffering, is because the soul in the animal body is exhausting his karma and is in the evolution cycle. So when his karma in that particular animal form exhausts, then he goes to the next animal form in the evolution cycle. But if you kill that animal prematurely, then his karma is still left over. And he has to take birth again in that same animal form to exhaust that leftover karma. So this point needs to be understood clearly, that animals suitable to be killed is not that some animal is suffering and the doctor is giving medication. We should not be doing that at all. Uncle, everybody clear?
Yes, Prabhuji. That means we are doing, sin for that animal.
It is sinful to kill any animal. I will give you example from my home, that in the washroom, I have a curtain which is on a spring. So I when I have to raise the curtain up, I just tap the spring and it just rolls very fast. The spring unfolds and folds, which one way or the other, to open and close. Now, one time, there was an insect on the back side of the curtain, means towards the outer wall where the window is. I did not even know that there was an insect on the backside. I could see. So I just tapped on the spring and the curtain rolled. And that rolling is very fast because the spring is zoop, rolls very fast. Now, that particular insect didn't stand a chance and it got rolled into the curtain and died right there. Now, I had no intent of killing. I didn't even see the insect. But I still get the bad karma because it still was my action. It's the following day when I was rolling the curtain back down is when I saw, oh, that some insect, poor insect got stuck behind. I did not even know. So now this killing was not intentional, so probably the karmic reaction would be less as compared to, say, when you are killing knowingly. Everybody on the same page?
So, Prabhuji, both the person gets a karmic reaction.
Correct.
Oh.
Got it, Prabhu.
And the relevant discussion is in verse 9 and 10 that the people who were concerned about Puranjana killing so many animals, the merciful people, they could not tolerate this. Sridhar Prabhu or Aditi, verse 9 and 10 translation.
Nine. When King Puranjana was hunting in this way, many animals within the forest lost their lives with great pain. Being pierced by the sharp arrowheads, upon seeing these devastating, ghastly activities performed by the king, all the people who were merciful by nature became very unhappy. Such merciful persons could not tolerate seeing all this killing. Text 10. In this way, King Puranjana killed many animals, including rabbits, boars, buffalo, bison, black deer, porcupines, and other game animals. After killing and killing, the king became very tired. Hare Krishna.
So understand that how the set of verses started, that because of the influence of ignorance, therefore the king has gone to hunt, meaning the jiva is influenced by ignorance. And verse number 10 purport describes what marks the beginning of religious life, means how does one come back. Sridhar Prabhu, verse 10 purport.
Purport. A person in the mode of ignorance commits many sinful activities. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sri Rupa Goswami explains that a man becomes sinful out of ignorance only. The resultant effect of sinful life is suffering. Those who are not in knowledge, who commit violations of the standard laws, are subject to the punishment under criminal laws. Similarly, the laws of nature are very stringent. If a child touches fire without knowing the effect, he must be burned even though he is only a child. If a child violates the law of nature, there is no compassion. Only through ignorance does a person violate the laws of nature, and when he comes to knowledge, he does not commit any more sinful acts. The king became tired after killing so many animals. When a man comes in contact with a saintly person, he becomes aware of the stringent laws of nature and thus becomes a religious person. Irreligious persons are like animals, but in this Krishna conscious moment, such persons can come to a sense of understanding things as they are and abandon the four principles of prohibited activities, namely illicit sex life, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. This is the beginning of religious life. Those who are so-called religious and indulge in these four principles of prohibited activities are pseudo-religious. Religious life and sinful activity cannot parallel one another. If one is serious in accepting a religious life on the path of salvation, he must adhere to the four basic rules and regulations. However sinful a man may be, if he receives knowledge from a proper spiritual master and repents his past activities in his sinful life and stops them, he immediately becomes eligible to return home back to God. This is made possible just by following the rules and regulations given by the Shastra and following the bona fide spiritual master. At present, the whole world is on the verge of retiring from a blind materialistic civilization, which may be likened to hunting animals in the forest. People should take advantage of this Krishna conscious moment and leave their troublesome life of killing. It is said that the killers of animals should neither live nor die. If they live only to kill animals and enjoy women, life is not very prosperous. And as soon as a killer dies, he enters the cycle of birth and death in the lower species of life. That also is not desirable. The conclusion is that killers should retire from the killing business and take to this Krishna conscious moment to make life perfect. A confused, frustrated man cannot get relief by committing suicide because suicide will simply lead him to take birth in the lower species of life or to remain a ghost, unable to attain a gross material body. Therefore, the perfect course is to retire altogether from sinful activities and take up Krishna consciousness. In this way, one can become completely perfect and go back home, back to God. Hare Krishna.
So the solution is, how does one begin his religious life, and how does one come back or come out of the ignorant life is that when one comes in contact with a saintly person, becomes aware of the stringent laws of nature, and then follows the instruction, and then his religious life begins. So religious life and sinful activity cannot run in parallel. So if one is serious about religious life, then he must adhere to the four basic rules and regulations. Questions, comments, realizations? Now, part 3 is verses 11 to 20. Title is Puranjana returns home. And he appeases his aggrieved wife. So this section explains how Jiva regains his dharmic intelligence. So we'll read one verse at a time. The verses are straightforward. We'll read one verse at a time and we'll discuss the comparative spiritual significance of what the verse is saying. Again, the whole chapter, the whole unit is about comparison, and we'll continue discussing the comparison part. Shivangi, verse 11 translation.
Hare Krishna, text 11 translation. After this, the king, very much fatigued, hungry, and thirsty, returned to his royal palace. After returning, he took a bath and had an appropriate dinner. Then he took rest and thus became freed from all restlessness.
So, being hungry and thirsty, the spiritual significance is he was troubled on remembering his sinful acts. He returned home. The spiritual significance is he gave up sinful acts and established himself in Dharma. Taking bath, the spiritual significance is he called Brahmanas and had them perform atonement. Ate suitable food means he gave up taking meat and liquor. And being refreshed and taking rest means he became somewhat steady. Now, verse 11 purport describes what does Puranjana's coming home, taking bath and eating indicate. Shivangi, 11 purport.
Perfect. A materialistic person works throughout the whole week very, very hard. He's always asking, where is money? Where is money? Then at the end of the week, he wants to retire from these activities and go to some secluded place to rest. King Puranjana returned to his home because he was very much fatigued from hunting animals in the forest. In this way, his conscience came to stop him from committing further sinful activities and make him return home. In Bhagavad Gita, materialistic persons are described as dushkritina, which indicates those who are always engaged in sinful activities. When a person comes to his senses and understands how he is engaging in sinful activities, he returns to his conscience, which is herein figuratively described as the palace. Generally, a materialistic person is infected by the material modes of passion and ignorance. The results of passion and ignorance are lust and greed. In the life of a materialist, activity means working in lust and greed. However, when he comes to his senses, he wants to retire. According to Vedic civilization, such retirement is positively recommended, and this portion of life is called Vanaprastha. Retirement is absolutely necessary for a materialist who wants to become free from the activities of a sinful life. King Puranjana's coming home, taking bath, and having an appropriate dinner indicate that a materialistic person must retire from sinful activities and become purified by accepting a spiritual master and hearing from him about the values of life. If one would do this, he would feel completely refreshed just as one feels after taking a bath. After receiving initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, one must abandon all kinds of sinful activities, namely illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. The word uchitaharaha used in this verse is important. Uchita means appropriate. One must eat appropriately and not take food as hogs take after stool. For a human being, there are eatables described in Bhagavad Gita 17.8 as sattvika ahara, or food in the mood of goodness. One should not indulge in eating food in the mood of passion and ignorance. This is called uchitahara, or appropriate eating. One who is always eating meat or drinking liquor, which is eating and drinking in passion and ignorance, must give these things up so his real consciousness may be awakened. In this way, one may become peaceful and refreshed. If one is restless or fatigued, one cannot understand the science of God. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.20, Evam prasanna manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Unless one can become free from the influence of passion and ignorance, he cannot be pacified, and without being pacified, one cannot understand the science of God. King Puranjana's returning home is indicative of man's returning to his original consciousness, known as Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is absolutely necessary for one who has committed a lot of sinful activities, especially killing animals or hunting in the forest. Hare Krishna.
So Puranjana's coming home, taking bath, having appropriate dinner indicate that a materialistic person must retire from sinful activities and become purified by accepting a spiritual master and hearing from the spiritual master about the values of life. Then he would feel completely refreshed, just as after taking a bath. Questions, comments, realizations? Right. Mother Jija, 12, translation.
Text 12. After this, King Puranjana decorated his body with suitable ornaments. He also smeared scented sandalwood pulp over his body and put on flower garlands. In this way, he became completely refreshed. After this, he began to search out his queen. Hare Krishna.
So the comparison continues that he decorated himself with ornaments, sandalwood, and garlands. Spiritual significance is these decorations are compared to knowledge of religion and self. Then verse says he remembered his queen. The spiritual significance is returning to his previous condition. He remembered his intelligence fixed in Dharma. Uncle 13 translation.
Hare Krishna, 13 translation. After taking his dinner and having his thirst and hunger satisfied, King Puranjana felt some joy within him, within his heart. Instead of being elevated to a higher consciousness, he became captivated by Cupid and was moved by desire to find his wife, who kept him satisfied in his household life. Hare Krishna.
So verse says he felt satisfied, joyful, and proud. And the spiritual significance is his impressions of sinful life left him. Then verse says his mind was enamored by Cupid. The spiritual significance is he became eager to find his previous intelligence fixed in Dharma. Verse says, but he did not see his beautiful wife. And the comparison is, though one desires one's previous intelligence to act according to Dharma, but it does not appear immediately. Now Chandra Aunty will read verse 14 translation.
Text 14. At that time, King Puranjana was a little anxious, and he inquired from the householder women, my dear beautiful women, are you and your mistress all very happy like before or not? Krishna.
So verse says that Puranjana saw the household woman. The spiritual significance is the women are the actions of the previous condition and inclined to Dharma, so they suddenly appeared. And then Puranjana asking them, are you and your mistress all happy like before or not? Meaning, if the actions of my intelligence remain steady, they can deliver me by destroying my present impressions of sin. Therefore, he asked how they all are. Mother Chandra Aunty, verse 15 translation.
Text 15. King Puranjana said, I do not understand why my household paraphernalia does not attract me as before. I think that if there is neither a mother nor devoted wife at home, the home is like a chariot without wheels. There is the fool who will sit down on such an unworkable chariot. Hare Krishna.
So he says, the wealth of the house does not attract me anymore. And if there is no mother, no wife in the house, then a learned person would not like to remain there. And the spiritual significance is the forbidden objects no longer give me pleasure. So the mother here refers to bhakti, to Supreme Lord, and the wife refers to intelligence endowed with dharma. Uncle will read 16 translation.
Hare Krishna. 16 translation. Kindly let me know the whereabouts of that beautiful woman who always saves me and when I am drawing in the ocean of danger. By giving me a good intelligence at every step, she always saves me. Hare Krishna.
So the verse says, where is she, my wife, who saves me? By giving me good intelligence at every step. When I am drowning, the ocean of danger, and the spiritual significance is the actions of intelligence are not so helpful. He laments that they are not the intelligence self. So visualize, go back to the chart that we have discussed earlier. Intelligence is like one of the queen's assistants is referring to that comparison. In verse number 16 purport, Prabhupada explains Dharma Patni or a chaste wife. With a good wife, the family's engagement in devotional service to the Lord actually makes a home a grahastha ashram or a household dedicated to spiritual cultivation. Rajija 17 translation.
Text 17. All the women address the king, O master of the citizens. We do not know why your dear wife has taken on this sort of existence. O killer of enemies, kindly look. She is lying on the ground without bedding. We cannot understand why she is acting this way. Hare Krishna.
So the verse says, we do not know why your dear wife is lying on the ground without bedding. Comparison is, her bed made of flowers represents the heart on which intelligence is endowed with dharma. Shivangi 18.
Hare Krishna. The great sage Narada continued, my dear King Prachinabhari, as soon as King Puranjana saw his queen lying on the ground, appearing like a mendicant, he immediately became bewildered.
So the comparison is that he thought, I committed a great offense, and being anxious to associate with her again, he was not pleased with his foolishness. Shivangi 19.
Hare Krishna, the king with aggrieved mind began to speak to his wife with very pleasing words. Although he was filled with regret and tried to pacify her, he could not see any symptom of anger caused by love within the heart of his beloved wife.
So the comparison is that when one regrets his sinful acts of abandoning Krishna consciousness, as well as good intelligence, his path of deliverance is open. Padajija 20 translation.
Text 20. Because the king was very expert in flattery, he began to pacify his queen very slowly. First, he touched her 2 feet, then embraced her nicely, seating her on his lap, and began to speak as follows. Hare Krishna.
So he slowly appeased her means he's saying, from today I will no longer use my intelligence for enjoying sinfully. And then he touched her 2 feet means the 2 feet represent giving up ahankar and coming to respecting the devotees. And then he embraced her means he put her back in his heart. Questions, comments, realizations on part 3, returning home with all the spiritual significance. Uncle?
Yes, Prabhuji, you asked something?
No, I'm asking whether you had something you had unmuted.
No, it is quite clear.
Right.
The examples and description is very relevant.
All right. Verse number 19 and 20 purport describe how do we come back to our good intelligence and Krishna consciousness. So, in essence of time, I will only briefly summarize. You anyway will be reading for your spiritual endeavor. So, what the verse 19-20 describe on how to come back to good intelligence and to Krishna consciousness, that when a person regrets his sinful activities, he regrets the abandoning of Krishna consciousness and good intelligence, then his path of deliverance from the path of material clutches is opened. Meaning, one has to be awakened to his Krishna consciousness by first regretting his past sinful deeds. To attain such an end, one must touch the lotus feet of spiritual master. Well, Krishna consciousness you cannot achieve by yourself. You have to approach a self-realized Krishna conscious spiritual master and touch his lotus feet. Touching his lotus feet means serving the spiritual master. Part 4 is verses 21 to 26. Title is Puranjana pacifies his wife. So we'll again continue to read one verse at a time and do the comparison of spiritual significance. Uncle, 21 translation.
Hare Krishna, 21 translation. According to Vedic civilization, domestic animals and servants are treated exactly like one's own children. Animals and children are sometimes punished not out of.
Translation. No, I just want 21 translation.
Oh, I'm sorry. 21 translation. King Puranjana said, "My dear beautiful wife, when a master accepts a servant as his own man, but does not punish him for his offenses, the servant must be considered unfortunate." Hare Krishna.
So the verse is about unfortunate servant not being punished for his offenses, and the spiritual significance is the devotee thinks the Lord himself has punished me to teach me. I will not give up my proper intelligence again. Chandra Aunty, 22 translation.
22 translation. My dear slender maiden, when a master chastises his servant, the servant should accept this as great mercy. One who becomes angry must be very foolish not to know that such is the duty of his friend.
So verse says, master's chastisement should be accepted as great mercy by the servant. Only a fool becomes angry. And spiritual significance is a devotee thinks this punishment is highest mercy for me because I will not become attached to sin again. The Chandra Aunty 23 translation.
It's 23 translation. My dear wife, your teeth are very beautifully set, and your attractive features make you appear very thoughtful. Kindly give up your anger, be merciful upon me, and please smile upon me with loving attachment. When I see a smile on your beautiful face, and when I see your hair, which is as beautiful as the color blue, and see your raised nose and hear your sweet talk, you will become more beautiful to me and thus attract me and oblige me. You are my most respected mistress. Hare Krishna.
So verse says, please give up your anger and show your beautiful face. Your sweet words, smiling glances, your attractive hair, they're all attracting me. And spiritual significance is devotee praise. That is certainly my previous intelligence. May she become favorable and steady. Uncle 24 translation.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
24 translation.
O hero's wife, kindly tell me if someone has offended you. I am prepared to give such a person punishment as long as he does not belong to the Brahmana's caste. But for the servant of Muraripu, Krishna, I excuse no one within or no one can freely move after offending you, or I am prepared to punish him. Hare Krishna.
So I will punish anyone if he has offended except for Brahmana and Vaishnava. So the spiritual significance is Puranjana represents Prachani Bhari sir. And Sri Narad Muni was reminding him of his poor father Prithu Maharaj, who never chastised Brahmana or Vaishnava. Mother Gita 25 translation.
Text 25. My dear wife, until this day, I have never seen your face without tilak, tilaka decorations, nor have I seen you so morose and without luster or affection, nor have I seen your two nice breasts wet with tears from your eyes, nor have I ever before seen your lips, which are ordinarily as red as the bimba fruit without their reddish hue. Hare Krishna.
So the verse says, I never saw you like this before. And the comparison is this condition indicates that the intelligence was not pleased as she formerly was. last verse for today, Shivangi, 26.
Hare Krishna 26 translation. My dear Queen, due to my sinful desires, I went to the forest to hunt without asking you. Therefore, I must admit that I have offended you. Nonetheless, thinking of me as your most intimate subordinate, you should still be very much pleased with me. Actually, I am very much bereaved, but being pierced by the arrow of Cupid, I am feeling lusty. But where is the beautiful woman who would give up her lusty husband and refuse to unite with him?
So, thinking of me as your intimate subordinate, be kind to me. And the comparison is, just as woman does not give up her lover who has done wrong, the dharmic intelligence should not give up the jiva. Questions, comments, realizations on chapter 26.
With the deep meaning. The meaning is very deep, and one should ponder and think about
Correct.
this chapter, reading it.
Yeah.
Very meaningful.
Absolutely correct.
It relates to every jiva.
Correct point. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 4th Canto 26th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled King Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt and his queen become angry. 4 more questions. Number 1. What marks the beginning of religious life? Comes from chapter 26, verse number 10. Next question is, how do we come back to our good intelligence and Krishna consciousness? Comes from chapter 26, verses 19 and 20. And for next class, read Canto 4, chapter 27. So I will post a Google link in the chat. I request all of you to please aim to complete your spiritual endeavor of submitting at least one striking point and at least one inquiry. So you can use on the Google form, there are 2 columns. One is striking points. The striking points column can write your striking points as well as the answers to the question, can write all in one column. Can just keep writing, the column will keep going bigger and bigger. And the next column is for inquiries, that if you have any inquiries that you want me to answer, then write down under inquiries. So those who are not completing the spiritual endeavor, please do complete. Please take some time to complete the spiritual endeavor questions. My last point for today is I request all of you, including those who will be listening to the recordings, that to update the Zoom software on your devices. I'm hearing a lot of static noises. It's probably because the Zoom is not updated at your end, could be one of the problems. So if you, on a cell phone or an iPad, you simply uninstall your Zoom and then reinstall again. then it will update the Zoom with latest updates. On a computer is a different story where you can update directly without uninstalling. So depending on what device you are using, I request all of you to please update your Zoom. Simple is just uninstall and then install again. That way the updates get pushed onto your respective devices.
You are right, Prabhuji. I am having problem with the iPad. Yeah, I will do that.
Yeah, so uninstall and reinstall and the updates will get pushed. I mean, the updates happen very frequently. Very frequently means very frequently. It's mind-boggling how many updates they do every single day. All right, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.